Thank you, Dr. Afroz, for accommodating me, for having a member of the Lokniti network to speak on the electoral politics. Electoral politics is essentially for the accommodation of the emerging social groups. While taking clue from Ajay Gudavarti that the landed dominant communities are in anxiety or anxious or insecure feeling. Okay. No, because Andhra Pradesh is one of the best illustration for to highlight to what extent the dominant caste is in anxiety, or to what extent the dominant caste is trying to perpetuate or reinforce its dominance for the continuation, even in the post-bifurcated period as well. So, very well that Hinduism is not a homogeneous religion. Whether you look at it from the Hinduism as a way of life or Hinduism as a religion, it is not a homogeneous one. It is a highly heterogeneous one. No, there isn't any relationship between a Brahmin and a dominant caste and a backward classes and that. It's a totally different type of social relations. It is basically a hierarchically structured, socially stratified and oppressive character. These are all the elements of the Hinduism. Therefore, some people might be saying, when you look at the kind of debate that has been taking place this morning, it is giving an impression that is Hinduism means it is a homogeneous religion. It's not true. There has been a lot of diversity within that Hindu religion, and probably the focus on the dominant caste phenomena might be giving some sort of a idea that Hinduism is not a homogeneous religion. There has been a lot of differences among these Hindu groups as well. So for that purpose, I would like to highlight this Andhra Pradesh as the model. See, my presentation would be basically to highlight how the dominant caste hegemony has been continuing, whether it is before the bifurcation of the state or after the bifurcation of the state, how it has been continuing. That means my presentation is in a sense to answer my question that whether the dominant caste has been perpetuating its hegemony or is it contributing for the democratization of the society in the post-bifurcated state, for which I would like to explain in a phased manner the historical account of how the formation of the Telugu state and bifurcation in between what is the dominant caste role, that I would like to highlight. See, retrospectively, when you look into the political process of Andhra Pradesh, at least from 1956 to 2014, we will be able to understand this phenomena. But see, up to 1956, because once in every 100 years there has been a very big shift in the political, in the socio-economic and historical account of the Telugu states, because in 1760s, the Nizam state of Hyderabad granted the northern sarkars to British colonial rule, and then in 1800 the same Nizam state has ceded some of the districts of Rayalaseema, the present Rayalaseema districts, to the colonial rulers. And then the colonial rulers, exactly after 100 years, that is from 1860s, the colonial rulers have started constructing of the irrigation dam, that is providing of the infrastructure for the irrigation in the Krishna and Godavari delta, that is the fertile land, exactly after 100 years, through construction of the Dhavaleswaram project, and construction of the Dhavaleswaram project has contributed immensely for the social transformation in that area. Subsequently, the entry of the colonial education institutions and then Christian minority institutions, and subsequent to social transformation and emergence of the political awareness that has contributed towards the emergence of the idea of the linguistic identity, the emergence of the linguistic identity. So, after 1956, we can characterize this phase as the rise of the linguistic identity, or mobilization of the political mobilization for the formation of the linguistic identity. And when you look at the historical account of the literature, the kind of literature, especially the writings of K.V. Narayan Rao, it reveals that the caste and language the caste and language, these are the two important instruments which were utilized quite effectively in order to build the linguistic identity by these dominant communities. Initially up to 1950s it is the Brahmins, and subsequently it is the upper caste who enter into the politics of identity, politics of the language. Then after the formation of the state from 1956 onwards, what has happened? When you look at the retrospectively again, the kind of literature that has been existing on the political process of the Andhra Pradesh, say when you look at Selig Harrison book, The Most Dangerous Decades, and also Carolyn Elliott study on the caste, factions and party politics in Andhra Pradesh, or Carol Upadhyay study, and then Balagopal and Harish Damodar studies that reveals that in the political process that has been taken place in order to consolidate the Telugu people, that has led to the rise of a dominant caste phenomena, the landed dominant caste phenomena from 1956. So here there has been a correlation, there is a close relationship between because the rise of the dominant caste phenomena that has led to the continuation of the Congress party rule in Andhra Pradesh almost for 25 years without any break. Which means the landed dominant communities and single party domination. The landed dominant communities and the single party domination that was continued almost for 25 years up to the rise of the capitalist farming community from the coastal Andhra on the name of the Telugu Desam party, that for the first time the Telugu Desam party that has questioned the emergence, the dominance of the single party rule in Andhra Pradesh in 1980s. Again, the coastal Andhra, the political party which has got a socio-economic profile from the coastal Andhra, is also under the leadership of a dominant caste, rather than questioning by a lower caste or some other social group. That is the another phenomena. That means that the Telugu Desam party has also contributed immensely for the perpetuation of the dominant caste rule. But of course from 1970s and 1980s we can see some set of a resistance. The radical politics from 1970s onward, the radical politics that has came into existence in Andhra Pradesh, that has led to the questioning of the class character of the politics, whether it is a Kamma landlord, Reddy landlord, Velma landlord, or a Kapur landlord, the radical politics. And subsequently from 90s, 80s, in the Telugu Desam party been ruled, then you can see the Karamchedu Mesaka, and from there the resistance from the lower caste, Dalit resistance to the dominance of the Kamma community has came into existence. So therefore this phenomenon of the radical politics and Dalit resistance was characterized as caste class politics by the writers, political analysts like Professor Srinivasulu. He contributed one article, monograph called Caste Class Approach to Understand the AP Politics. That is the another phase that has been there. And then the fourth phase in the political process of Andhra Pradesh is the politics of the bifurcation. The politics of the bifurcation, this was explained, the politics of the bifurcation phenomena was explained by Dalal Benba Babali. She has submitted a postdoctoral thesis in London School of Economics and Politics. She tried to explain the bifurcation politics from the internal colonization, a resistance or a challenge to the internal colonization of the coastal Andhra dominance. It is not only mere the economic dominance of the coastal Andhra, but also the cultural dominance and the downgrading of the culture, language of the Telangana that she has quoted. And also I try to highlight in my article, that is the last election in Andhra Pradesh, defeat to the Congress and dividend for the regional political parties from the more of the repenetration of the feudal communities into the villages of the Telangana. Dalal Benba Babali, she looked at it from the internal colonization from the coastal Andhra, whereas I looked at it explaining of the politics of the bifurcation basically from the how the Telangana landlord community wanted to go back to their villages and occupy the land. That means when there was a radical politics from 1970s onwards, the landed dominant communities, they have vacated the villages, shifted, migrated to the urban areas, and try to occupy the emerging non-farm source of livelihoods in the urban areas. So there was a serious crisis in the political source of the livelihoods of these people. Therefore, they utilized the dominant caste people have utilized the emerging assertion anti-coastal Andhra agitation of the Telangana in order to go back to their villages and occupy the land. So now in the post-bifurcated phenomena, when you look at the kind of changes that have been political politics in the village, when the Naxalites hoisted the flags in the lands of the landlords, again that was taken back by the landlords in the Telangana villages. Now they are happily leading up the life. So that is the one phenomena. And what are the explanation? Whether it is from the internal, going back to the villages by the landlords community, or from the resistance to the internal politics of the internal colonization from the coastal Andhra, the state has been bifurcated in 2014, and that has demarcated, and that has come into existence. That is the reality. So now, after the bifurcation of what is happening, that is probably one of the most important aspects that is the most important relevant aspect in the context of this seminar. So I would like to delineate some of the characteristic features that are what is the emerging trend, the emerging post-bifurcated trend. See, when you look at this, the happenings for the last about 4 years, both the politics and the policy, the public policy of the rulers of both Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, it is clear that the rulers have consciously taken a decision in order to promote the crony capitalist model of development process. That is what Professor Asad has referred. That is the crony capitalist model of the development process. Here the crony capitalism in Andhra Pradesh has got a something different historical context. Here in the crony capitalist class means it is being understood that a social group which has got a homogeneity in terms of its origin. This homogeneous group, social group is bringing together its capital that has been accumulated over a period of time, right from the construction of the Dhavaleswaram project in the form of the agricultural surplus, shifting of that agricultural surplus into the non-farm sector investment, whether it's the hotel business, contracts, cinema fields, and then technology, etc. And then this social group subsequently emerging into the owners of the making a large-scale business on education and health. Education and health. Today in Andhra Pradesh, the education and health has become a thousands of crores worth of the business. These are the people who are dictating the terms of the politics of these Telugu states. That is the one phenomena. That is the promoting of the crony capitalist model of the development is the one. Second element is that highly concentrated and highly centralized model of the development. Whether it is for the Hyderabad or Amaravati. These are the two cities have become a very important centers for the investment of the capital. There is no even you criticize that Chandrababu, this coastal Andhra model of the development, they are internalizing, they are concentrating, they are centralizing, they are grabbing the resources. But today who have been in the post-bifurcated state, who have been grabbing the resources, where you have been investing. You are making Hyderabad as the center of the global capital. One day when you are invite Ivanka, the same day Chandrababu Naidu inviting Bill Gates to Visakhapatnam and Vijayawada. This is a global capital has been shifting. When Telangana government invites China, Chandrababu Naidu invites Japan. Okay. Chandrababu Naidu's mind is Singapore, body is in Andhra Pradesh, and Chandrasekhar Rao is somewhere. So whether it is this KTR somewhere moving in America and then in Hyderabad. So that is the phenomenon. That is the kind of a contrasting picture that has been emerging. That means these centers, Hyderabad city and Amaravati, have been becoming the centers of the global capital. There is a highly concentrated model of the capital. And this is the third phenomena is that if you look at it retrospectively for the last 58 years, none of the chief ministers had made their own kith and kin as the minister in their own cabinet. But today that has been happening. Dynastic democracy, the dynastic politics, encouraging the politics. KTR became the chief minister in Telangana, so immediately Lokesh must become the minister. Whether Lokesh knows how to speak in a public or not doesn't politician. So for 58 years were characterized as the period of the dominant caste politics. Now we are supposed to probably characterize the post-bifurcated Telugu state politics as the dynastic democratic politics. I don't know, that must be the more suitable characterization. And then another phenomena that has been emerging is that then it is promoting some set of the unethical practices in the electoral politics. That is a large scale the party defections. You one political party, but at any cost, that whatever the political party, that person must shift to a ruling political party. That is another phenomenon that has been emerging. And then opportunistic alliance, irrespective ideology, whether it's a rightist or centrist, whatever that might be, he is an opportunist. Only the element for the political alliance is that there must be a dominant caste phenomena is supposed to be a central idea, central point for the alliance, because of the dominant caste politics. Essentially, the opportunistic or power mongerism, and here for the last few years, at least for the last 4 or 5 years, you can't hear the term called either socialism or communism in these Telugu states. No terms. These are the states is known for the Telangana Armed Rebellion, radical left politics, and then long history of the leftist politics. But at least for the last 4 years, there is no term called either socialism or communist party, etc., etc. There is nothing. That is totally end of the, what is that, ideology. Probably sometime maybe it has died, but in Andhra Pradesh for the last 4 years you can't hear this set of terms. Then, see, this is the scenario that has been emerging in a post-bifurcated state, because we thought that Rajini Kothari characterized that a small state is going to be, it is more viable for the administrative point of view, it is politically more convenient for the participation of the people, etc. And some people during the time of the Telangana agitation said that the social Telangana, democratic Telangana, geographical Telangana, all the Telanganas have been ended, only one Telangana, that is called the dominant caste Telangana is here, and in Andhra Pradesh, that is the Reddy Andhra Pradesh and Kama Andhra Pradesh. That is the kind of phenomena. Then in this phenomena, what is there any scope for the alternative politics? Is somewhat disturbing or frustrating phenomena have been emerging, because see, if you look at in Telangana state, you can see there has been some set of a voice, at least an alternative voice, because some time ago, during the integrated Andhra Pradesh, one Shankar Rao, an MLA, used to say that Professor Argopal himself is a powerful opposition party in those days, integrated Andhra Pradesh. But there is one Argopal, one Gaddar, one Kanchi Ailaya, one T. Maas, and then Congress active politics in Telangana that has been existing. But today, if you look at Andhra Pradesh, only 2 voices. One is Chandrababu voice, another is Jagan voice. There is maybe third voice. No other voice. The other backward classes are almost subordinated. They are not taught to speak anything at all. And Dalits are being co-opted. Recently, if you look at the kind of position that are being given to Dalits there is no Dalit voice. It is co-optionation. And then the tribal population, there is no tribal population. Nowadays, Chandrababu Naidu has been putting a serious effort in order to create the tribal population. He himself producing a tribal population, that is identifying the Boyas or Valmiki as the tribals. And Anand Teltumde some time ago wrote in Economic and Political Weekly the initiation of Chandrababu Naidu, making this Valmikis as the tribal scheduled tribe. That is going to be a serious attack, and that is because in Mahabunagar there was some time ago there was an attack. This is became the contradiction between the Dalits and this Valmikis. In the Valmikis, because the scheduled tribe, then it will be a more aggressive situation is going to be there. That was the phenomena that has been emerging. So in then regarding the minorities, now there no more minorities identity in Andhra Pradesh today. At least in Hyderabad, because of MIM has been All India Majlis is there, the Musliman has been existing. It has been giving some set of an idea, identity for the Muslim minority politics. But in Andhra Pradesh, there is no any minorities identity. Almost closing of the identity. At least you can say the presence of the minorities population in Kurnool district and then Kadapa and then Guntur district. But when it comes to the representation, it has been almost neglected because TDP also has got a, of course, recently there has been a rupture between the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Telugudesam Party. So in this, so when you look at this emerging phenomena, what it reveals is that the post-bifurcated politics of the Telugu states is basically, essentially, it is the crony capitalist centric, and it is opportunistic, and it is more for a dynasty politics, and it is at the cost of the suppressing the third alternative, whether it is the identity of the Dalits, identity of the backward classes, identity of the Muslim minorities, but only assertion that has been coming up is that Rayalaseema state. If you look at for the last 30 days, there has been agitation for the High Court in Kurnool, Cancer Hospital in Chittoor district, iron industry in Kadapa district, and then Central University in Anantapur district. That is the identity. And recently I have seen one book written by one Dalit activist by name Balasundaram. He wrote a Rayalaseema state, that's the book he has wrote. In that book he has characterized that the contemporary political process of Andhra Pradesh as the coastal Andhra terrorism. He used the terms called coastal Andhra terrorism by this Dalit activist, because even the media has not been covering whatever the kind of dissatisfaction that has been coming from the Rayalaseema. There is no media, because entire media is being covered, is under the control of the coastal Andhra crony capitalist class, because caste, political party and print and electronic media. There has been a convergence or nexus because the same social group has been operating all put together, and this has been suppressing the voice of the dissent from the most fragile community, fragile regions and most marginalized social groups. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.